Hello and welcome to the latest episode of The Hex with John Arnold, Armand Kafai, Daniel Robertson. Be sure, give us a thumbs up, like the video if you're watching on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, no matter where you're watching. Give us a rating if you are on Spotify. It helps us out a ton. Guys, we've got MLS to get into, some guys doing it outside of MLS on the national team radar, and a little bit of talk around some fun innovations to the game. So let's get right into it. A big weekend of MLS as we have 2 full match days left now. Another kind of half match day, but really down to the biggest matches of the season, guys. And John, we'll start with you on the MLS winners of the week. The team that, we talked about Supporter Shield last week, and it looked like the situation may be a little clearer now.
Yeah, well, last week I said, book it. The Vancouver Whitecaps will win the Supporter Shield. This week, my winner of the week is the Philadelphia Union, who are going to win the Supporter Shield. Partly other teams fell off, right? But also Philadelphia is taking care of its business. Look, like a lot of teams can do this against DC United, but a 6-0 victory on the road. And I think a more critical thing, like Armand, when we were talking a little bit, you're like, well, yeah, but they lost Quinn Sullivan. Yeah, but then who comes in? Ure. And what does he do? A goal and 2 assists. And I think critically for Philadelphia, Andre Blake is back and healthy. His second game in a row, doing the full 90. I think the drop-off from the attacking players compared to the goalkeeper, with all respect to teenager Andrew Rick, I believe is his name. Look, like we know Andre Blake will lead this team in the playoffs. It's what he does. Having him back, getting results for me makes Philly the winner of the weekend, even though you can definitely nitpick that their competition wasn't what some of these other Supporters Shield candidates were facing.
Yeah, but I mean, and with the Union, right? It's like, oh, well, I wouldn't pick them to win MLS Cup. Okay. If they win the Supporter Shield, it's the second trophy they've ever won. Like, oh, Philadelphia is not. I realize people aren't doing this, but if they win the Supporter Shield and don't win MLS Cup, it's still an incredibly successful season.
Well, and also I think that like we've all sort of been, and myself included, like literally last week, I'm like, they're probably not going to win it. They lost 7-0 to Vancouver, whatever. Like, I think we've all sort of been looking for excuses to not have Philly in the conversation, not out of like an anti-Philly bias, but just like Bradley Carnell comes in this offseason, like whatever. He plays a certain style of soccer that may not be to your taste. They don't have a flashy star like in the MVP race like a lot of these teams. They didn't acquire a guy like Thomas Mueller in the summer. They don't have Messi. Like there's a lot of things about this team that you're like, well, like I don't know. But like you're saying, like they keep winning. So, you say, oh, they're not my favorite for MLS Cup. But if they win MLS Cup, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter if people like them now or they're a sexy team. They just kind of keep getting it done. And like, I think it could have been easy to take your eye off the ball a little bit, if you use a baseball metaphor, and not beat DC United. But not only did they beat DC United, they absolutely smashed them. And we had been saying, oh, DC, signs of life. Signs of whatever the opposite is.
Well, and also Bradley Carnell. I mean, he's got to be coach of the year at this point, right? Like they're
sure.
You think him or Mikey Varas?
It has to be Bradley Carnell.
I think I'd go Mikey Varas, the complete expansion squad.
Maybe we talk about
that.
That's
your FC Dallas bias. Yeah, that could be.
No. Maybe we talk about that in a week, guys. Maybe we put that on the docket for next week.
Armand would be good if you count CCC.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's get the weekly report from the bottom of the table with Armand.
Yeah, I guess my favorite, the cellar dweller. Well, not really cellar dwellers, but the mediocrity treadmill in the Western Conference. Look, the battle of mid. Look, my winner of the week is Real Salt Lake, and you might say, why Real Salt Lake? This is a really weird winner to have. Yes, they got the win over Austin FC 3-1, which you could say, and it was true. Austin was rotating their players for the Open Cup final, which we're going to talk more about. But who cares? Sometimes you need a result like that to get you going. And what we learned in MLS, I think like there's been multiple moments where teams have been really bad throughout this year, but are still alive in the playoff hunt. Why? Because MLS has a really generous playoff system. And it's very forgiving, exactly. So we see with Dallas their resurgence over the last month. And if you look at Real Salt Lake's schedule, they actually control their own destiny. They have one less game played than everyone else. They play the Rapids this weekend at home. And the Rapids, as we know, are one of the worst teams defensively in MLS. Then they go to Seattle, which is gonna be tough. But then they go play at St. Louis City. Now, compared to so many other teams,
they have the easiest game. Yeah,
they have the easiest game. If you look, Dallas has to go to Vancouver, who's going to be in the middle of fighting for probably the top seed over there. When you look at San Jose, I think they have a difficult game as well. The Rapids have to play at or against LAFC, which that's going to be a game as LAFC is climbing up. Look, Real Salt Lake could drop that game against Seattle and still have a probable way into the playoffs. They control their own destiny. This game this weekend is huge for them. It's going to determine it all. But sometimes you just need a get-right game. And I think this game for them, guys, was that get-right game.
Do you think Pablo Mastroeni has a new Caledonia jersey on today, hoping that Zaragoza gets sent home early from the U20 World
Yes.
Cup? I mean, there's a couple teams that have like some key players, but credit to them. I think, you say hey, they're the win of the week and they're not even in the playoff places, but like, I do think it's impressive how they won and that they won without him because he's been so critical for them this year.
And here's the key too. What is the number one tiebreaker in MLS?
It's wins. And they have 11 wins.
They have 11 wins. San Jose has 10. FC Dallas has 9. And obviously, if they get the points where they're going to be even with them, they will have more wins than these other teams because they would have to get them.
Essentially, there'd be a game up on a lot of these teams.
Right. So, yeah, I mean, and we've seen RSL. You don't want to play a playoff game there in November. Like that is a very difficult situation, but it could be a situation that we could see my winner of the week heading to, and that's going to be LAFC because guys, who is going to stop LAFC right now? It's been really interesting to see, when they signed Son, we all laughed because they had 3 road games to start in possibly the 3 unsexiest road games in MLS at SeatGeek Stadium in Chicago, Toyota Stadium in Dallas, and Gillette Stadium in New England. That's where
I like that you're claiming that you are sexing them up because you're like, it's in Chicago, it's in Dallas. No, they are not.
They're right. They're not in any of those cities. Like, Foxborough, Bridgeview, and Frisco. And you wonder if Son was thinking, what is going on here? Like, what is all these games? But
what did I sign up for?
But even then, they went 1-0-2 in those games. They had an unlucky loss at home to San Diego. But since then, they had a weekend off. They've played 4 games. They're 4-0. 3 of those games on the road. They've scored at least 3 goals in each one of those games. They've outscored their opponents 15-4. It was San Jose, RSL twice, by the way, so I don't think RSL wants to see LAFC coming to town. They're just blowing opponents away. Like, it's not, and if they started that game, I watched a lot of that St. Louis game for financial reasons, and boy, it did me well, because if they had started that game 4-0 down against St. Louis, they would have won that game. They could have named their number. They were
toying with them. I mean, you saw the goal Son scored. They were just messing with them until Son got the moment and scored. Like, it's incredible. Again, I think we talked about last episode how Boanga and Son have just been so good together. They've just been incredible together. And the rest of the team, let's give a shout out to Nkosi Tafara as well, who's picked up that starting spot from Aaron Long. They picked him up from Dallas in a deal. He kind of had a really slow start, but he's been looking really good as of late.
Well, and because he's the kind of defender, if you go chance after chance after chance, he's going to make a mistake or two. But if he just has to step up in big moments, which LAFC is holding the possession, teams are having to stay back on them because of how much they can attack. He's the perfect type of defender for the way that they're playing now versus the way that they were playing earlier in the year. And guys, they have 4 games left. Atlanta and Toronto at home. Those are probably wins. Then they go to Austin and Colorado. If they win those 4 games, only Vancouver can catch them, and Vancouver would have to win all 3 of their games left, and they still have a trip to Orlando. So I think we're going to see LAFC as the number 1 seed in the West. A team we have not talked about that had a pretty good week of their own. I wouldn't say they were the winner of the week, but still strong is Inter Miami as they won on Tuesday, or was it Tuesday or Wednesday? They won midweek against NYCFC 4-0, and then they go to Toronto, draw 1-1. Armand, what is one word you would use to describe Miami's week that was?
I would say a little underwhelming, because when you go through and you beat NYCFC on the road, and then you go play Toronto, they've been okay as of late after their moves, etc. But Toronto, I think, should have been the game to where if you're a team that's really going to compete and gun for the supporters' shield, you got to win that game. And I understand it's going to be tough because again, these games are adding up, and there are going to be a lot of games like in a really short amount of time. But that's a game, guys, where like, look, if you're like, you need to beat Toronto FC. I'm sorry, I think you kind of have to do that. Their win against NYCFC was impressive. They absolutely ripped them apart. But the end was very underwhelming to tie 1-1 against Toronto, a team that is nowhere near the playoff picture as of right now.
Yeah, but that's why my word is adequate. It's fine. It's what they need to do. It's fine. There's no problem here. They had a good win against NYCFC. I think it's okay if fatigue sets in, but I don't even think that's what happened. Armand, you're the stats boy. Who had the better XG on Saturday in between Toronto and Miami? It was Miami. Who had more shots on target? It was Miami by a lot. Okay, they came up against a really good goalkeeper, Sean Johnson. He had a really nice night. It's a tough road trip in general. And you got all the weirdness of, you got to go to Canada, etc. Sometimes that doesn't really bear itself out, I guess, in MLS. Like, the Canadian teams are not so dominant, but maybe if the teams were a little better, there would be at home. But I think it's an adequate week. Yeah, they're probably out of the Supporters' Shield. They've won that before. The focus should probably be on MLS Cup for them. They're still not totally out of a Supporters' Shield race. It still comes fast and furious, right? Because now it's a Tuesday game. Dan, you're getting a little confused. It was Wednesday against NYCFC, but it's Tuesday against Chicago. They played last Tuesday against Seattle. I mean, the fact that they have been managing, kind of the downstream effects of playing in the Club World Cup, of a CCC participation as well, and then a long Leagues Cup run, I think you can, if you're an Inter Miami supporter, I think you can forgive not a perfect record. They didn't lose. It's totally adequate. What's your word, Daniel?
Well, it's going to be professional, because I think if you went into this week with 2 road games and you said, we're going to get 4 points, I think they would have said, yes, absolutely. Yeah, we probably would have thought those results would have been flipped. But Armand, I think you're forgetting, like, Toronto FC, you know what they've done in their last 7 games? Draws. They've drawn their last
1-1 mostly.
1-1, 6 out of those 7
FC.
games. I should be just blindly betting a draw in Toronto FC games right now. But
you're an expert. Is that advice?
No, that's not advice. But
do not take financial advice on look, on the Hex.
They did exactly like what John said. They did what they needed to do, because those 4 points keeps all the pressure in the world on Philadelphia. Because I think at this point we have to say it's Miami and Philadelphia for that top spot in the Eastern Conference, and for the Supporters' Shield, actually, at this point. Because if Miami, so their last 4 games, Chicago, New England, and Atlanta at home, guys, that's 9 points. And then at Nashville, okay? If they win those 3 games, then Philadelphia, if they win all 4 of those games, Philadelphia has to win their last 2 games to win the Supporters' Shield. They play NYCFC at home and Charlotte on the road. That is a very difficult situation, considering we saw what NYCFC did on Saturday. They looked amazing in basically eliminating, which I didn't realize, by the way, the Red Bulls had like the longest playoff streak in American pro sports. So, NYCFC, the Undertaker for the Red Bulls, and ending that streak. I don't think Philadelphia is going to get 6 points from that. So I think you're going into the decision day, which is looking like it's going to be awesome right now. You're probably going to go in decision day with Philadelphia needing a win at Nashville, or Inter Miami needing a win at Charlotte. My money's on Inter Miami. Sorry?
They play at Nashville, Inter Miami.
At Nashville, my bad.
I was going to say, real quick, who do you think Messi hates the most in MLS team-wise? Because like Nashville is like the first ever Leagues Cup final, and then they keep playing each other. They played each other in the CONCACAF Champions Cup.
Gotta be Seattle.
Seattle. Yeah, but they played twice now, but one game was obviously so critical, the second game. All right, that's a good pick. But I don't know. I just don't think he sees them enough, whereas like I haven't been keeping track, but how many games has he played against Nashville? They've met like 7 times.
I feel like it's Orlando, though, because I mean, they'll
like
chop him down like
rivalry.
crazy.
Has he ever actually played at Orlando? I think that's like a thing where he hasn't actually played a game at Orlando yet, because I remember he didn't earlier.
That's how much he hates Orlando.
Yeah, fair.
I'll never go to Disney World.
Have you been to Orlando? Like, I don't want to go to Orlando.
It's been a long time for me, actually, but I would definitely go.
Guys, Wednesday is Cup Final Day across the continent. We've got the Canadian Championship with Vancouver hosting, is it Valor FC? I think it's
Vancouver, other Vancouver.
Other Vancouver. Is it? Okay, it's Vancouver versus Vancouver. We've got, of course, the Campeones Cup with the LA Galaxy playing Toluca, first versus last, basically. And then The big one, though, is the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup final, going to be a little bit down the road from us at Q2 Stadium in Austin, with Austin FC hosting Nashville. And guys, we're going to talk about what is the key to this U.S. Open Cup final, which will be on CBS Sports. Definitely going to be sure to locked into that one. And guys, I'll kick us off here. And for me, the key is going to be, can Nashville do anything on the road? Because this has been probably the most Jekyll and Hyde team from home versus road that we have seen all season. If you look at Nashville, their last 6 road games, L. There's 6 of them. Count 6 L's. Okay. Now, it was against top opposition, but Armand, Austin is not an easy place to play. You've been to quite a few games there this year. They're unbeaten at home in their last 9 games. I don't see Nashville being able to keep up enough chances here to stay with Austin.
It depends, because I feel like the key in this game is, can, again, Austin kind of control this game? Because again, I think the one thing where Austin kind of loses shape a little bit is when they're hit on a transition, because Austin kind of doesn't want the ball anymore. They've been a little bit, actually a lot more trying to play in transition, trying to catch teams like with their speed, etc. But I think Nashville's a little bit better than them at that. When you have Hani Mukhtar and Sam Surridge leading a charge, I think for them, they just have to have control, because when they lose control situations, they look terrible, like especially with their transition defense. I think that's your number one key, and especially with Austin. I mean, this is their first, for the fans, like their first meaningful game in like a really long amount of time for them. They're going to be jacked. They're going to be amped. I think we were all there at the 2016 U.S. Open Cup final with Dallas. Were you there, John? Yep, we were all there.
That's special.
And it's special. It's something that definitely means something. People still talk about it. How cool of an atmosphere, how fun it was to be there. So that's going to be a big thing for Austin. That's going to add a lot of pressure for them as well, too, right? Like, there's going to be 2 things there. It's a big game for Nico Esteves, his first final. It's, Austin's first final as well, too,
and
outside the
West
at home.
Triple C as well, because they're probably not getting in if they don't win the Cup final, John.
Exactly.
No, I think that's the most likely path by far. You said, well, I don't know if Nashville, can hang with what Austin will put on the field, but, the question is kind of, to me, is what will Austin put on field in attack? The last couple games at full strength, essentially, they've been able to find the back of the net. We've seen this kind of breakout moment from CJ, Fodry, and like, there's all these kind of like, if this goes right for Austin, this will happen, right? If this happens. But, it's one game, right? And so I think that has to be something that, is taken into account. Okay, yeah, perhaps Nashville has been really rough away from home, and I do think it's going to be a good atmosphere. I saw like they're giving TIFF streets to supporters that day, so they should be happy and as well as excited. I don't know. It's not coffee. It's not going to hype you up, or like a beer that like gets you crazy. But, nobody's mad at a cookie.
I saw that tickets it's $75 to get in right now, so it's definitely a hot ticket, which you would expect.
Man, if you're an Austin FC fan, you should 100% go to that game. I mean, I like when it comes to atmospheres at Toyota Stadium, which isn't really known for its atmospheres, that Open Cup was amazing when it comes down to it, and the game itself was a memory that for a lot of people that they still have to this day. The one thing I will say about this, and this is like, I guess, on a bit of a tangent, but I do wish that, I feel like this Open Cup hasn't getting that much press, guys. I don't know why. I feel like I haven't heard about it that much.
Part of me disagrees, because actually they've had a lot of coverage on CBS Sports, right? Like,
I agree.
It was like a post-game show on CBS Sports.
I think CBS has done a great job with it. I'm just talking about like kind of.
So what else do you want, man?
I'm talking about kind of internally, like within like American soccer like circles.
Well, it's because the big teams aren't playing in it. I think it's because the big teams aren't playing in it. But Armand, I want to go back to a point you made that I think was a really good one on the way that Austin SC has evolved a little bit. Because if you look at their games over the last month and a half, they've won 3 out of their last 5 in MLS. Like, they've been decent. One of the losses was a game you were at against FC Dallas, and that was probably their worst performance that they've had in a long time. They had 59% possession in that game. If you look at the rest of their games, 3 out of the 4 being wins, I'm seeing 37%, 39%, and 42% possession. So they are doing, it seems like they're kind of playing into like Nashville plays exactly how Austin wants to play against them. Because if you look at Nashville's numbers over the last few weeks, I'm seeing 62% possession, 66, 58, 51, and Nashville hasn't been playing very well. They did beat Houston, but then they lost to Orlando. They lost their last 3 before that, and they've lost, 6 out of their last 8, I think, at MLS. So, I mean, we got to go Austin, right? Predictions? I got to go Austin.
I like Austin, but not extremely. Yeah, I'm not like, oh my gosh, they're absolutely going to dominate.
I think it's a coin flip. I think Nashville pulls out a 2-1 victory.
Going to Americans abroad, and Christian Pulisic has been a hot topic on this show and around the USMNT Twitter sphere this summer, this fall. But guys, I think right now he's kind of getting the last laugh in this situation because he had AC Milan is playing incredibly well. They're tied at the top of the table, and if you look at the Serie A table, it's amazing right now. There's like 1 point separating the top. Obviously, it's early, but the table's pretty exciting. As
Daniel's
John is
daily
not
Serie A propaganda. Huh?
John doesn't like my Serie A propaganda, but guys, if you look on Football Reference, goals plus assists per 90 minutes, Christian Pulisic has almost twice as much as any other player in the league. He had a goal and an assist in their win over Napoli, which is a huge statement win, John. Is he proving the doubters wrong at this point?
What doubters, man?
I thought there was doubters. Oh, there was some doubters.
Nah, man. To me, this doesn't say anything. If he's doing this in April and May, when supposedly that's when the legs need to be fresh, that's where you rest for the Gold Cup because that'll let you play a full season healthy and come into the 2026 World Cup stronger than ever, then we'll talk. But being good at the start of the season, that's not what this rest was supposed to do. At least I don't think so, right? If the idea was to have a better start to the season, then congrats. He's doing great. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't think anyone... I personally never said, oh, Christian Pulisic, because he's not playing the Gold Cup, that means he's not going to... No, I mean... But the reason that it is important for him to be at the Gold Cup is he is the best U.S. player. And he's showing that right now. Huge game, and it has been fun to watch Serie A. I'm giving you crap because you espouse Serie A propaganda, whether it's good or bad. But right now, it is good. It is fun. A huge match, a huge win from Milan, and a huge game from Christian Pulisic. This is what is expected of him. If he can do this all season because he took a break in the summer, okay, fine. Then it looks like his plan paid off. I just think that it's too early to sort of say the results are in and the break was needed.
What's most impressive to you about the first month he's had, Armand?
Just that he's been doing it like in big moments. You know what I mean? Like you have a big game against Napoli, you show up, and again, what I really like what Pulisic is. Look, I gave him shit for not coming to the Gold Cup, but I think he's doing a good job to start it, and I've been really impressed by him playing and also just again stepping up in those big moments because look. Well, it's funny because him playing, because sometimes he hasn't been playing that much. So, to be honest, him being there is
I was going to get into
a testament as well. But to what John was saying, I agree. But we have to, I think, give him his flowers as well, too, John. Because, look, he's been
the best American player. He's the best American. But what else do you want me to say? That's why he should be at the Gold Cup because he's the most important player for the national team. I've never said, "Oh, he's not good enough." He gets his flowers. He gets his flowers when I write a column saying you should show up to the Gold Cup because you're the most important player for this national team and the most important player for Mexico, the most important player for Costa Rica, and the most important player for all these other countries is at the Gold Cup.
Well,
to me, that's giving him his flowers. It's holding him to that standard of not saying, hey, good job, you had one good week of Serie A play, one good month of Serie A play. No, it's that all the time we are saying, we expect this of you. That's what's expected.
Yeah, and I do think, though, also, maybe we don't appreciate... Maybe it's not appreciated as much just how good of a season he's having so far, that the fact that an American right now, you would have to say he is the best player or at least top 2 or 3 by every metric in a big 4 European league. That's incredible that there's an American doing that. I think it flies under the radar a little bit. And where he's super... where they have a lot of benefit is that Milan is not in European competition this year. They had a terrible season in 24-25. They have 1 game a week. And Armand, you mentioned like he's actually not playing that much. Like he's played 250 minutes. He has 4 goals and 2 assists in 250 minutes. He hasn't played more than 63 minutes in any game this year for Milan, which is why he's averaging 2.1 goals and assists per 90 minutes right now. That's insane.
The other thing, Dan, you asked Armand what was kind of most impressive, and I was going to kind of defer to you on this, but my understanding of Milan is that, I mean, it was really an off-season in flux. They were trying to get players that they missed on, trying to move on players who ended up staying. Rabiot shows up because of locker room beef at Marseille. He actually looked really good as well. I know he's not necessarily your favorite, but it seems to me that is impressive as well, that he's stepping into this role, taking the pressure on when it was a team somewhat in flux. You know, you mentioned, hey, the stats that he's racking up, but also that an American has that sort of role as the guy at a traditionally massive club, I think is also significant.
Well, and I think what's also significant is Santi Jimenez in 400 minutes played has yet to tally a goal or an assist and has one of the worst who scored ratings on Milan. Not a good look for him. On the other wing, potentially for the national team, south of the border, Alex Zendejas, John, he had 2 goals that's considered a derby, right? America Pumas.
It's a Clásico, but not the most important one, yeah.
It's a Clásico. He put Pumas to the sword on Saturday night, and he's been really fantastic, showing it again. Where does he rank right now? We know Pulisic is number 1 with a bullet, but the rest of the wingers, and by the way, do we count Balogun as a winger or no?
No.
Okay, so where does Zendejas rank in your men's national team winger depth at this point?
I put him at 3 or 4. I just think I think he has a case. For me, it's still Pulisic, and then I still put Tim Weah right there.
Yep.
After that, I think he's right there, and I think he's showing that. You know, the U.S. national team, I think, has served as motivation, and every time that he hasn't been called, every time that he hasn't been in, it seems like he just kind of shrugs, puts his head down, and keeps working. And that's exactly what he's done after getting an opportunity. So he scored that goal that everyone saw against Japan, and then he scored a free kick in the Clásico Nacional, which America lost. He had an assist in the next game, a comeback draw against Rayados midweek. Be easy to sort of, whatever. Like, in fact, I think he got a little bit of rest, comes in, has the winning goal in a 1-0 victory, and then was the most important player for America again this weekend, scoring a golazo, really, really beautiful goal on Keylor Navas. Incredible. So no slouch, who was having a great game, actually, kind of until that point. A little earlier they got to him, and then he creates a penalty that he converted. So when you talk about like, oh my gosh, like this guy is in form in his league at a high level. You know, these are good games, and he's not just playing well, he is the best player on the field consistently, match after match, week after week. I think you just got to put him in the conversation.
One thing that frustrates me, John, about Alejandro Zendejas isn't him, but it's the conversation around him. I feel like a lot of people underestimate how, I guess, good Liga MX is and how important it is to have a player like Alejandro Zendejas who wears the number 10 at America, right? Right. That's a responsibility in itself. It's not like he's there as, you know, kind of like he's like one of the best drivers in this situation. He's not a guy, a kid in the back just eating snacks. He's out there performing, scoring brilliant goals, creating opportunities, being dynamic, and taking that lead on. And it's just so fascinating because he was given that 10 this year, correct? Like going into this season. Again, that's a huge responsibility. And I feel like for me, guys, I want to agree with John, but I kind of want to put him at like 2A, 2B next to Tim Weah. I think he's been that impressive. I think if you look at his advanced metrics, he's been pretty great. And when you look at a guy who's, you know, gone through, I would say a lot when it comes to, look at his career, guys. He went from Dallas to Chivas. He kind of, after his Chivas stint, was kind of just going around. Went on loan to, I think, a really bad team at one point. And then emerged at Necaxa, went to America, and now you get this result. I mean, this is a guy that I think Daniel deserves all the plaudits.
Well, let's be a little fair to Tim Weah here. He scored a goal at the Bernabeu in Champions League like 2 weeks ago.
So he's been amazing.
Season at all, man.
I don't think that Tim Weah.
There's no disrespect in that.
Tim Weah is still on a level.
But there's no disrespect in what I'm saying. It's more of an endowment than Zendejas, not Weah.
You could play all three.
You could play all three, and I think the point you're making, I think the best point you made is that when you talk about in a World Cup situation, the pressure that comes, there are a lot of players that will make the World Cup roster that will not feel that pressure that Zendejas has felt playing as the number 10 for one of the
week
biggest
in and
teams,
week out.
one of the biggest teams in the world. And that is incredibly difficult to replicate, and you have to produce every week. And I think we're seeing a separation right now with some of the men's national team attackers, and I actually think that the job for Pochettino is probably not going to be that difficult naming the roster at this point, because right now it's like Pulisic, Balogun, Zendejas, Weah, and I guess Aronson, and that's kind of your, and then I mean maybe like Weston, depending on where you put it. Oh, and Tillman. Those guys are, because Tillman just scored for Leverkusen too. So I think there's really a separation between some of these guys right now.
I think one thing that Zendejas has working in his favor that I think he's going to want that tape going around of is that not only is he doing well in open play, shifty, winning the penalty, the golazo after kind of the interesting play that people have been comparing to Messi's goal against Betis, the set pieces. Because, people have said, oh, Seb Berhalter's not on the roster anymore. And I'm like, man, the fact that he hits that dead ball, the way that he does, I think makes him intriguing for a coaching staff that's like, okay, yes, he's not going to start, but if we need someone who comes in and delivers some crazy free kicks late, I think Zendejas is kind of pushing for that role, trying to get better and better. Obviously, if Pulisic's on the field, he takes it. But I think the fact that Zendejas is scoring direct free kicks, assisting from the corner, and is doing well from the penalty spot and some of the other situations he's been in, I think is another element that's only going to make him more attractive. I think he'll probably be in October, and from there, it's, what can you do in front of Pochettino to prove that kind of mini audition that you had that apparently you didn't pass in 2024, that you've grown as a player since then and are ready for 26.
Rounding it out this week, guys, two big innovations. I guess one of them is not super new. One of them is pretty new. First, we've got the ref cam. So we saw the ref cam is here full time in MLS now. The refs, they're going to have it. And we saw it on Sunday Night Soccer. I think the first, kind of memeable video on Sunday.
I can't stop laughing about it because I'm just reimagining Rodrigo Schlegel on his
Schlegel.
knees
Okay. I was like, is he
the...
laughing at me right now? For those of you listening,
it's just funny
Armand is just cracking up, and I'm like, is he laughing at me? We had Rodrigo Schlegel, the meme of him just pleading with the goalkeeper or with the referee on Sunday Night Soccer. It's been going the rounds, and then I don't know if you've watched much U20 World Cup yet, which by the way, the U.S. kicks off in about 5 minutes, so we'll be watching that game shortly against New Caledonia. I did watch some of the opening game with Peru. It was pretty entertaining against New Zealand. But the green card VAR. So how that works is you have 2 challenges a game. They have 3 cameras set up around the field. And I'll talk about it in a minute, some experience I've had kind of firsthand with it. But so it's set up around the field, and it's meant to be done at a much more cost-effective way for every competition, not just, the World Cup and Big 5 European leagues, etc. So, guys, ref cam or green card, the better innovation for football?
I'll take the green card because I think that it really is something that gets more toward what we want from the game. The last night Cruz Azul took its first loss of the season. Tijuana had an incident. Well, Cruz Azul had an incident in the 5th minute. Red card, direct red. And they were trying to make a substitution as well, which is a little weird, but they were setting off Jose Jesus Corona, the longtime goalkeeper, more than 600 Liga MX matches, won the Olympic gold medal with Mexico. So he was starting with Xolos, a game against his former team, Cruz Azul, and they were going to pull him after about 5 minutes. Well, what they didn't expect was that there's a red card, and so the goalie substitution didn't happen until minute 12. So there was 7 minutes of discussion, of back and forth. Then they review. The referee said, no, I still think this is a direct red, which was not a good call, but whatever. 7 minutes. Now, what do we love about soccer? Why is soccer a great game? Why are the laws of the game good? We always talk about the advantage rule, right? In the NBA, the shot clock expires and the team's breaking the other way and you're ready for a dunk or you're ready for a corner 3 great play. And the referee's tweeting the whistle and tapping his head, shot clock violation. The game is about flow. The rules of the game are about how can we keep the game going? How can we keep the action happening? And the green card allows that much more than the current VAR system. The ref cam, it's fun. But I think that overall, it's more important that we kind of reform VAR. I still like VAR. I still think it's important. But if you put it in the hands of the manager himself and say, you get two, and they're probably going to have to save one until late, to me, you're getting a better product. Yes, there may be more mistakes, but that's kind of on you if you're the manager. So I think the card is better. The challenge is better.
I got to go ref cam because there's a couple of reasons why. One, when I was watching a few ref cam videos, I didn't really realize just how difficult of a job it is and how quickly the game happens. And okay, we're all watching on TV on big screens. Ref, how could you miss that call? But then you realize as 5 players are running across your vision, it's the fastest players in the world, it's the strongest players in the world, it's the best athletes, and they also know exactly how to con you, and they're trying to do it at every moment, and you've got to get every single decision correct. And if you get one wrong, we're all screaming at you, we're all giving you vitriol, the fans hate you, it's a totally thankless job, and now you get to hear what the players are saying to you as well. And maybe that also will prevent a little bit of some of the things that players are saying to referees. I think it's a good thing, and I will tell you as well, this VAR, as you know, I do the commentary for Texas A&M, East Texas A&M women's soccer, okay? This is low-level Division I women's soccer. They have VAR now, and it is the exact same setup on probably a lower level that they have in these tournaments, where they have 2 cameras that are set up on each end and then one at the top. It's not the cameras that I'm calling the game from. It's not the TV cameras. They have gone to VAR for the most ridiculous things we go to VAR like 5 times a game. And it is.
But in the challenge system, you could go max 4.
Okay, then get the challenge system into Division I, NCAA women's
your
soccer, Armand.
Not mine, buddy.
Armand, what do you got?
Dude, I am so pro ref cam. It's like insane. First off, the angles you see for some of these goals are awesome.
Yep.
Like from a purely entertainment perspective, I think the ref cam does nothing for the game, but I think you get hilarious moments like Rodrigo Schlegel begging on his knees, saying I didn't foul him, like in a weird camera angle.
Yeah,
and also
I didn't like
yeah, it was very interesting.
It didn't do him any favors.
No, not at all.
Players are gonna try and get their angle right when they protest now.
Yeah,
referee.
Well, the thing is, it's on his chest, so you wouldn't be able to really see the faces of the players unless it goes like a wide angle, I assume. But for a purely entertainment perspective, I think the ref cam is absolutely hilarious. I would love to see if they keep it in like the World Cup, because that would be just really funny to see the ref confused by all the languages being thrown at him.
What's funny about that?
It would just be funny. I don't know. I'm easily entertained, as you can tell. But I think the ref. I mean, the challenge system, for what it's worth, I thought so there isn't any VAR. It's just challenges, correct? Is that how that works? Or is there VAR and there's challenges?
Only challenges, and I believe you get to keep them if you're right.
So for me, that's. I feel like I feel like we're gonna get random challenges on everything, and that's the only thing I'm worried about. Even though VAR itself has been the implementation, I'll be honest with you, I don't like how it's taking away more goals than I think it's actually giving. And I think the VAR, it's kind of going completely against the way that I think was supposed to be implemented, is now being put into really bizarre scenarios. But I'm not a fan of the challenge system. I feel like you're gonna get the same result.
Let's see how it goes. I'll be interested to see over the next few days, because U20 World Cup just started, guys, and we may want to talk about it next week too, with some of the on the field stuff as well. So watch the space. Well, guys, that'll wrap us up for the week. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week.